What is wrong with these trans idiots?
I just piss myself all the time.
Thank you, Kelly. Goodbye. I've had enough.
You're anti-trans.
How are we doing? You should like the stream. Have you liked the stream? You can check the links in my description. You can support the channel, check out some music, join my Discord. We talk about trans stuff. You can talk about other stuff as well if you want. Sometimes gay men come in and tell us about female sexuality. I'm sorry, Sam, if you're watching. I'm just pissing around. But yeah, anyway, we're going to go on to the James Whale thing. So James Whale, the guy on the left, this guy's name is Ash something. I can't remember what. Ash something. These are the people from TalkTV, and they have a falling out with Posie Parker, aka Kellie-Jay Minshull, in this one. Bear in mind, these are quite right-wing, like TalkTV. Pretty much all these talk shows are right-leaning, you know? And then Kellie-Jay is obviously one of the big kind of ultra gender critical, ultra TERF types. So yeah, let's see what happened, I guess.
Kelly, thank you for your time tonight, and hopefully there is nobody crowding around you wherever you are at the moment.
No, not tonight. Not tonight, thankfully.
What is wrong with these trans idiots? What?
That's a good start, isn't it? What's wrong with these trans idiots? I mean, I've been wondering that a long time. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of Kellie-Jay. Like, it helps today that she doesn't have the hat on, but like all this adult human female, this is what a woman means. To me, I just can't help but think it's like she feels the need to remind people she's a woman, which I don't know why you'd have to do. Obviously, this isn't a man, you know what I mean? But that's just the initial impression I get when looking at it. So it's a bit cringe in my opinion.
How has a situation that is, and I say this all the time and people get upset, it's a minority of a minority.
What I'm guessing is James Whale has a trans friend and she's going to shit on that trans friend because I think it's about a friend of his. Like, they're fine right now. It's gonna end up happening, but yeah. Yeah, Kellie-Jay is an ultra. I'm not a fan of ultras. I don't really like extremism in general. I'm very moderate, so that would make sense, I guess. I don't think you can just shut out all trans people from society and have it that way. And it kind of seems like at the ultra edges, it kind of seems like that's more where they're headed. But yeah, but let's see what they're doing.
Who seem to be getting listened to by people who can't really understand the situation, surely.
Yeah, well, it's the slow march through the instant.
Used to be somewhat into her, but it's now clear she doesn't care about women, doesn't like gender nonconformity. Yeah, the thing, what would I say? I do wonder sometimes if like the TERF side is actually quite gender nonconforming unfriendly, because they'll immediately like, they'll be like, oh, you're trying to be trans, you're trying to appropriate womanhood and stuff, when it's like, I don't know. Samantha Lux is on the board of directors of GLAAD. Oh my God, Jesus. Parrots them by saying everything is oppression. That does not surprise me. Yeah, they're going to have a falling out though. It's going to be funny. Don't worry. Don't worry. I got you.
Institutions. They're like our version of the Red Army, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they go to university. There's woke professors. And then they come out, they go into the workforce, they're quite cheap. They go into really cushy little diversity and inclusion roles. You can get paid 80 grand for doing something like that. At the NHS, there's one in every council, there's one in every office block. They're everywhere.
Apparently we've got some here.
I don't really know how to verify pretty much anything she's saying, so I guess we'll just keep going.
I mean, they should just go under HR. It used to be just part of the HR. If anyone was racist or sexist, it would be HR. Now they've built a whole industry around that.
Well, look, we've got the Equality Act, right? And in the Equality Act, you've got these protected characteristics. And the most of the time, anybody evokes the Equality Act, it's in a work situation. And maybe that's because...
This is true, and probably the only way I'd think this really makes sense. I think most of the time the protected characteristics, things like hate speech laws, they don't really seem to exist for a whole lot of anything other than like official capacity, like work and stuff. I don't know who Samantha Lux is. Every time someone says anything of Luxander. Samantha Lux is a much bigger YouTuber than Luxander. She's a trans woman rather than a cis woman with a deep voice.
HR.
TERF is a weird label that it encompasses so many people. When I use the word TERF, I try to use it to mean like more extreme gender critical, you know what I mean? Because I think there's a lot of fairly moderate gender criticals who say an awful lot of things that I actually agree with and aren't really anti-trans. There's just certain issues they take, such as, you know, single spaces or trans women in women's sports or something. I use TERF to mean like the more fringe, like kind of crazy stuff, I guess, which I guess she would fall into.
Has lost its way, really, because now, you know, look, if you want to do inclusion, rather than get a ramp, rather than make sure that people with actual disabilities have somewhere to work and can live a full and prosperous life in this country, you can just make people wear some rainbow lanyards.
Yeah.
And tick that box.
I mean, it's ridiculous. You've been banned now from going to Australia, is that right?
Yeah, it's been, I might look really tired because I've been getting up every night to watch this federal court case, which has been going on, where a politician in Australia was expelled from her country, from her political party for having anything to do.
I'll be honest, I didn't think any of them called themselves TERF because I thought the whole TERF is a slur thing was kind of about that and trying to push gender critical as the new label. But I use gender critical to mean the more moderate side of it, so.
Do with me because of the things that they say about me. And I think, the Australian...
You'd recognise Samantha Lux if you've seen her before. She's got like big brown, like curly hair.
Border Force or Passport Control, whatever it is, has decided they'll listen to the trans rights.
What are they for? Why are they so frightened of you, Kelly?
Because I just don't take any of this seriously. I use the word no, and
she doesn't take any of this seriously, but she talks about it like constantly. Do I? I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking. I don't know.
I mean it, and I don't feel I need to.
I'm assuming I'm considered TERF for child sports transition. Any adult. Yeah. I mean, that was literally, I had a debate with someone about trans kids the other day, and that was pretty much my position. And yeah, some people will call you a TERF for that. Some people will call you a transphobe for that. Personally, I never would, because like, oh, do they, Christina? Fair enough. Listen, I'm maybe I don't know as much. But yeah, like, I don't know. A lot of these TRA types, any one position you have that they consider anti-trans makes you transphobic. So like myself, I'm transphobic. Plenty of other perfectly reasonable people are transphobic. Like, to me, I don't want trans kids, and I don't want like males in women's sports. I don't think that's right. Some rad fams have tried to reclaim it, but reclaiming doesn't work. Fair enough. I don't know. Listen, I've got both opinions, so I guess I don't know. She outed herself as a grifter. Oh, I don't know. No comment, I guess.
Really qualify. I don't want men in our spaces. I just don't want men in women's spaces. I don't want kids lied to at school. I don't know if you've seen the news this week. Some sort of primary...
Women's spaces. I think there's a lot of nuance to women's spaces. Like, if I ever want to scare off a bunch of TERFs that become part of my audience, then I guess I'll talk about my bathroom takes. I don't know. I think bathrooms should be gendered. I used to be called slurs for being best friends with gay people, to feeling like I'd no longer fit in as an ally. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I know the feeling, trust me.
School kids went back to a bloke with a full beard wearing a dress. We're all supposed to celebrate it, and I'm just not.
I would make it illegal in my country.
She doesn't seem like she cares, right? I don't know. When she says, I don't want to trans... Yeah, I am very anti-trans. I'm a transphobic trans person. That's my grift, okay?
News this week, some sort of primary school kids went back to a bloke with a full beard wearing a dress. We're all supposed to celebrate it, and I'm just not.
I would make it illegal in my country for that. I'd make it illegal. No,
there is...
Yeah, like things like educating kids on like trans identity and stuff. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think we need to spell all that kind of stuff out for like kids, maybe in like secondary school at some point, so that people understand that different kinds of people exist. But like teaching kids about like transgender identity, I don't know, it just feels like putting like ideas in their heads that they probably just don't need. Guess I can be considered TERF since I am a rad fan who dislikes who dislikes the whole concept of mandated sex roles. I get you. That's fair enough.
You can't do that. And you know, I want to apologise to women tonight because
oh, this sounds cringy. Listen, sometimes men say things where it just seems so cuck to me. Like, let's apologise to all women. We're right-wing men. We're the male feminists right now, I guess. Nice.
That and you know, I want to
What's TE? Sorry, trans exclusionary.
Apologise to women tonight because the more I hear about the way some men behave, even now, and I was talking to my wife.
This is kind of soy, actually.
The other night, and she said, no, honestly, she said, if I was to walk home fairly late at night on my own, I would be worried.
I never thought I'd call James Wales soy, but here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I am appalled.
Some of these men that dress as women, that wear us as a costume, they
wear us as a costume. Like, I'm not sure. Are we supposed to, like, equate women's clothes with womanhood, or are we not? Because it seems like she's kind of pushing the same thing, right? She's pushing the same stereotype that, no, you shouldn't wear that. That's a woman's piece of clothing or something. Do you know what I mean? I think I'm seeing someone, I can't remember who it was, I'm really sorry, suggested she was against gender nonconformity. You know what I mean? Like, let me play it again. Maybe I'm mishearing something, I can't tell. It just feels like she kind of is pushing the same sexist shit that supposedly trans people are. Whereas as a costume. Yeah. I see what you mean. Something's hitting me wrong about this statement, though.
If I was to walk home fairly late and appalled.
Some of these men that dress as women, that wear us as a costume.
Yeah, this seems just as, like, regressive and, like, pro certain kinds of gender roles as anything they're saying, anything that they're saying a lot of these trans people are doing, in my opinion.
They are excited by the prospect of being afraid.
Humpty Dumpty melted instead of shattered. Yeah, he's getting on a bit, I guess. He might melt for real in a minute if there's going to be a hanging up.
And being a victim of some sort of crime. And look, we used to know that men that wore women's clothes did it for pleasure.
I think what she's trying to say is that these trans women will put on women's clothes and say she's a woman and clothes don't make a woman. Yeah, maybe. Because, I don't know, I guess, how do you avoid lumping people in that just dress a bit androgynously or something? I'm not sure. I'll think about it more, I guess. A huge thing that irritates me is that a lot of right-wing men turn to male feminist cocks after the trans debated. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, lefty kind of shit. It's like the feminism turned into intersectionality, which I'm not for. I don't like the way intersectionality is used. I think it has some uses, but not the uses that people use it for, which is mostly a replacement for empathy, because you can just add people up like equations and treat anyone who doesn't make the grade like shit, aka white men mostly. Sexist, both men and women can be in wherever they want. Yeah, I guess I feel that. Oh, hi, Gold Cat, by the way. Distinct from transsexuals. Oh, hi, Sam. Transvestism is a necessarily part-time thing. Kelly's actions may unknowingly spur on more GD by upholding these rigid societal norms. Yeah. I think what she's kind of saying is not necessarily helpful to the situation. But fair enough. Miranda Yardley is friends with KJK and is a trans woman who's spoken at events. I'll have to look into her. I'm not familiar.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, you know that, and as long as they didn't bother anyone and they stayed at home and they did it in the privacy and comfort of their home, everyone was, live and let live, do what you like. But now we're all expected to cheer and champion these men as stunning and brave, and
the reason you're banned from these places is because they can't answer your difficult questions. That people on that side, or whatever politics.
Intersectionality has just become a tool for distraction away from the greater goals of liberation from this bad system. Maybe. One thing these people never take out of is class. Yeah, true. It's interesting how what's supposed to be a leftist movement is very like individualistic and doesn't seem to consider class, or kind of has kind of a veneer of caring about class, but most of it's just saying eat the rich, and then every single person having crowdfunding campaigns. So I don't know.
They fall on in the left. They don't like to be challenged. We just had a guest. They don't want to be asked difficult questions.
Can I make a point, Kelly? It's important to me to make it. I have a very good friend.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is going to be it. She's trying to defend female spaces. Well, yeah, of course. I don't know. I think she's too extreme for me, for sure. But yeah, this is it. This is it. It's gonna get spicy now. Here we go.
Who transitioned from being a guy to a lady, and you'd never know. You would never know. And
we can always tell. Is that what it's going to be about?
It was a very difficult decision, and something that she decided she had to do. Didn't want to make a fuss about it. Didn't want to make and I have nothing against anybody. In fact, they have my greatest sympathy if you think you were born into the wrong body.
Well, I was going to say people don't actually think they're born in the wrong body, but literally people do now. So, hey, I don't know. Because, I mean, he must hear himself. Like, that's an odd statement, especially to make in front of Kellie-Jay Keen, who looks angry now. Born in the wrong body. I guess those are the magic words. I don't know.
And you want to change, you have my...
Does she not look so angry? Hang on a sec. Because she looks, oh no, not there so much. But like, her face kind of changes.
Privacy and comfort of their home. Champion.
You're different, like to be championed
to a lady, and you'd never know. You would never know.
They're leaving out of class on purpose. They are happy with tearing us apart over aesthetic differences. But if we had class solidarity, real change would happen. Maybe. I haven't thought through all that kind of stuff yet. I've had a lot of like socialism and stuff like that thrown my way, but it's been the kind of weird cartoon version of socialism that a lot of trans rights advocates do. Yeah, with intersectionality, I think there probably is some function to examining privilege and stuff, but it feels like so many people who supposedly use intersectionality, they either use it because they just want to add people up into equations and decide who the good and bad people are based on that, or they just want to use it to distract whenever someone wants to talk about something specific. Like, I've been trying to talk about like trans sports with someone before, and they've started like bringing up like black people in sports issues, and I'm like, I'm not even talking about that. You know, we're two white people talking about race. What's more cringe than that? But because everything's connected, like, it seems like a very easy way to like obfuscate and move a debate off of what it's supposed to be about, rather than just answering the question.
And it was a very difficult decision, and something that she decided she had to do. Didn't want to make...
Yeah, her face is definitely like switched. Oh my God. It's a subtle thing. But...
a fuss about it. Didn't want to make and I have nothing against anybody. In fact, they have...
Leftists weaponize intersectionality. Yeah, exactly. Oh, hi, Shinigami Wolf.
My greatest sympathy if you think you were born into the wrong body and you want to change, you have my support. People who don't have my support are those people who dress up.
What, black people in sports? It was something to do with that Caster Semenya, I think. Like, there's people, if you bring up things like regulation of like hormones in sport, like testosterone levels and shit like that, and they link it back to like race for some reason. I can't remember what, but to me it's like, if something's been used in the past to like push racism or to disadvantage certain people or whatever, that doesn't mean it has to be the same today. Like, things are supposed to change and improve, right? This Kelly person is expressing herself by dressing up like Marilyn Monroe. Isn't that also a type of costume? Maybe, I'm not sure. I'll think about that more, I guess.
Like idiots, you know, a man in a flowing dress with a beard and reckons nobody can criticize them. Otherwise,
because I don't know if he thinks that she's going to be okay with what he's saying, but she's not okay with any of it, you know?
But should they be allowed in a ladies only space?
No,
your friend,
no.
But your friend who's
yes,
genuine.
Oh, okay. I think we're going to get to it now.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's a woman. She is a woman.
Well,
Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it just fine. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that face. Oh, she's not happy. Oh, she's not happy. Oh.
Okay,
changed.
I would totally disagree.
Yeah.
Not a woman,
Yeah.
not a woman, but you know, perfect.
You know, this is definitely a James Whale L. Like, why would you bring up like your personal friend when talking to Kellie-Jay Keaton about trans? I think he walked into this one, unfortunately.
Within their right in this democratic, tolerant society to do whatever they
See, she's even using they, you know. What's wrong with that?
like.
And they wouldn't actually
That's a joke, by the way.
go in women's spaces, would they? Your friend, would they? I don't think.
This conversation always gets so weird. And listen, I know what it's like. The bathrooms thing is one of my more progressive TRA soy takes, if you like, you know. I don't know. To me, bathrooms are more gendered than single sex. I don't think that applies to all single sex spaces, especially like prisons and like rape shelters and stuff, which I'm more open to how strict some people want to be about them. But bathrooms, it's not like there's security at them ever. If you do it strictly by sex, you'd have trans men going in instead of trans women, which arguably would be more kind of... It'd normalize more like people who look like men going into the women's, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't really make sense to do it by sex, like strictly. The only other way I can imagine is it being cis women and then everyone else, like in the men's, you know, because no one cares about male spaces, so...
Don't know.
If she's a woman, she's had everything. She is a woman.
Well, I don't.
So, you know,
Kelly would disagree on that.
well, Kelly can disagree all she likes, but there are people who transition from one sex to another. They may not have all the, but you know, they're not there to harm anyone or to do anything, or they are just women. My complaint is against men who want to keep themselves intact as male and pretend to be a woman.
It's a
The chaser game, nice.
They have a, yeah.
Oh, the chaser gene.
I mean, I did a program many years ago. I went to a place in Manchester where men who wanted to spend...
As far as I know, KGK believes because trans women are males ought to make it okay for them to be in males' toilets. I think that's putting a bit too much faith in a group of people. Like, I'm not going to say faith in men because that would sound sexist, and I could say the same thing about the other sex, but like... Yeah, I don't know. My experiences using like male toilets, men's toilets, is that people would constantly fucking stare at me and like talk behind my back and stuff, and I'd get like super anxious and uncomfortable. I don't really like being looked at. I don't really like unwanted attention. I mean, who wants something that's unwanted, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my experience. And like you see some people on Twitter, like you've got that weird fucking, what is it, Mr. Emily Dawn, who seems to be the fucking trans tourism board for men's room. Oh my god, it's so amazing in here. Everyone loves me. It's like, good for you, bro. I don't know. I don't have a penis, so.
Spend some time dressed as a woman, could go and did it in this private area where they would you know, sit around with friends, dress as women, and didn't upset or hurt anyone. And I don't think anybody can complain about that at all.
Wasn't that a dream you were having?
No.
I think if you say that there is any meaningful transition where somebody genuinely becomes a woman just by whatever surgeries or whatever, we might as well say people become Nigerian if they do blackface. I mean, it
is woman face, isn't it? Because it's always, well, not always, but
is it woman face? I don't know if I agree with that take.
it's often a stereotype.
Your mum's saying recently when she has to use men's, yeah, women's toilets are busy. Yeah, absolutely. People are very weirded out. Yeah, quite possibly. I don't know. Either way, if you're going into the bathroom that's not for you, or you're a trans person going into the bathroom, but you don't look like the correct gender, people are going to be weirded out because you're sort of circumventing like social rules or whatever. And if you're going to go into the wrong bathroom, it's like, what else are you going to get up to? So, I don't know.
Of a woman, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I mean, that aside, really, whether you genuinely believe it, James, and whether you care about your friends and you think they genuinely have transitioned or not, doesn't alter the fact that I don't want him in my space.
You wouldn't even know.
Ooh. See, I think on balance, I probably agree with James because I do think that it's fine for like transsexual women who make enough of an effort to use the women's personally, especially post-op, because post-op trans women don't even have a penis to do anything to you with. But yeah, that's me.
Oh, it was a him.
We can always tell.
I beg to differ, but that's
Kelly,
almost...
I'm telling you now, you
This isn't a fight he wants to pick, I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I prefer the skibbity toilet in general, definitely.
wouldn't know.
Okay,
and
but
then, so I think I lose compassion for you when you say things like that. I agree totally with you when you're talking about trans activists and these sort of idiots. But there are...
See, this is the thing. Like, any small difference, it kind of... I don't know what happened after this. I know he was on Twitter, like, telling people off that were having a go at him. But it's like, it's all fine until they start talking about something they have a problem with. And now it's like, then it gets frosty. It's interesting.
Are people who, for one reason or another, feel that they are living in the wrong body and they want to change.
Right. But that's not my problem, and it's not my daughter's problem, and it's not any woman's problem to accommodate those men.
You wouldn't know.
Oh, God. The thing is, most people don't notice. If you're making enough effort, like, when people walk past you in and out of the bathroom, they're not really looking at you. Bathrooms are just another distraction. Well, yeah, of course. They are a more important conversation because... Jesus Christ. They are a more important conversation because, in my opinion, bathrooms should be gendered, not sexed. I think some of those other spaces should be sexed, like prisons, abuse shelters, for sure. Like, I think there is no broad public support whatsoever for views like hers. Yeah, fair enough. Listen, I'm not really a fan of Kellie-Jay Keaton. I just want to know why these two fell out, because there's been, like, loads of shit going around.
You wouldn't know. And there are many people who have done that. You wouldn't know.
Well, I beg to differ, but even if I
mean, she is trying to appease, I guess, without cucking out. So I think, I don't know, he's going a bit ham on this point, but also I agree with him most of the time. Like, for the most part, not most of the time. I don't agree with him most of the time. I have no idea.
I didn't know, we have a social contract and an agreement that men stay out of women's spaces.
Yeah, as long as you know that they're men. This is the thing. I don't necessarily think you can always tell. Even someone like this who is going to be like hyper vigilant about it. And a lot of these we can always tell people, some of them most of the time can tell. Sarah Jane Baker no longer has a penis, but has no problem with punching women in the face who have different opinions. Well, telling people to punch someone in the face, technically. I do not like Sarah Jane Baker, by the way. By him, do you mean the blonde guy? What, this blonde guy? Sorry, that's a joke. Kelly is being strangely compared. Well, yeah, they're like supposed to be friendly and stuff. This isn't like him talking to a TRA. They're supposed to be like on the same side. You know what I mean? But he's gone on about his friend, and now she's personally offended him because she's being honest about her beliefs, you know? So I agree with him. But I think he's kind of losing this hardcore. I refuse to use public bathrooms unless it's an emergency. Fair enough.
And maybe 10, 20 years ago, there were so few of those men that it didn't, you know, maybe they did walk past me and I wouldn't have known and I would have felt perfectly safe and fine. But that isn't where we are now. And men who meaningfully transitioned, using your words, but those men who...
Imagine wanting to use bathrooms. I know, I just piss myself all the time.
Who pass and did it for all the right reasons, opened the door for all the men who now do it for the wrong reasons. So I just think if we just stick to the truth, it should be perfectly adequate for your friend, however he's dressed.
Yeah, he made an enormous mistake here. This is a James Whale L. Listen, I agree with him more than Kelly, but Kelly's winning this one, like, so much.
To use...
Thank you, Kelly. Goodbye. I've had enough.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
You're being insulting to a very good friend of mine, and
you shouldn't have brought the friend up. Like, when you're talking about this kind of stuff, like, Kellie-Jay Keane is just the wrong person. He should have known that. Did he think that she was gonna like moderate for his friend? Oof.
I don't need it. Take a flipping break.
He's not happy. He is not happy. Listen, don't make it personal. Don't make it personal.
But that isn't where we are now. And men who meaningfully transition.
I feel like this one, I can't remember what his full name is. He's called Ash something. I feel like he's probably more on her side.
Using your words, but those men who pass and did it for all the right reasons opened the door for all the men who now do it for the wrong reasons. So I just think if we just stick to the truth, it should be perfectly adequate.
Because I mean, he's offended by that. I guess her calling his friend a man. It's kind of the same thing that the trans people are doing when you call them a man when they want to be called a woman, whether they're trying or not.
For your friend, however he's dressed, to use.
Thank you, Kelly. Goodbye. I've had enough. You're being insulting to a very good friend of mine, and I don't need it. Take a flipping break.
There we go. There we go. James Whale versus Kellie-Jay Keen. What's interesting is they don't mention anything happening. So the whole description, because I don't know if you can read this very easily. Kellie-Jay Keen joins James Whale to criticize the influence of trans activists and institutions, comparing them to a slow march through the institutions akin to the Red Army. She argues that diversity and inclusion roles are often misused, leading to a superficial inclusivity rather than addressing genuine needs. Keen expresses her opposition to men and women's spaces and criticizes the Equality Act's misuse. That's got like nothing to do. That's got nothing to do with.
That it didn't.
Did you expect from that this is going to happen?
Maybe they did walk past me and I wouldn't
Whale is not a good easy name from being a little overweight. True.
have known, and I would have felt perfectly safe and fine. But that isn't where we are now. And men who meaningfully transitioned, using your words.
This is a right-wing TV show. I've seen these people debating. I think usually it's been people like Frida Wallace. I think they've spoken to Frida Wallace a bunch of times. So I watched a bunch of them. That was kind of what I started on, was these UK talk shows with trans people showing up and seeing what arguments we brought, which was usually absolutely nothing. You know, in someone like Frida's case, it's all just guilt by association. He's not offended there. Fair enough, if you think so. It kind of seems like he's upset by this because he's been getting into it with people on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, there's been people like showing disapproval for him sticking up for his trans friend. To me, just don't bring your friend up. Like, don't make it personal in any way, especially not someone like her. Like, she will, she's not gonna give you some slack because you've got a trans friend. You know what I mean? So I think James Whale lost, but I agree with him in general. And I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I mean, surely he understands a bit more where trans people are coming from if he's kind of having this reaction, assuming it's genuine.
But those men who pass and did it for all the right reasons opened the door for all the men who now do it for the wrong reasons. So I just think if we just stick to the truth, it should be perfectly adequate for your friend, however he's dressed, to use.
Thank you, Kelly. Goodbye. I've had it.
Yeah, she called him a he. That's too much. She called her a he. I don't know. Once they stop transing kids, this will be over and done. Yeah, maybe. Listen, it's going to be, I reckon, either the trans kids thing, something about detransitioners, something about some botched surgery that's been one too many. Something's going to go beyond the pale. I mean, I would love nothing more for people like Kellie-Jay Keen to be obsolete, you know? And the same for, I don't know, I mean, I used Frida Wallace as she's the one that I thought of. The same for people like that, like TRAs. We don't fucking need any of them, and they've just caused problems. But yeah, like the kids thing was where things really started to nosedive for me. And I was one of the people being like, I don't think people want this. I don't know if I want this. Because like children, like how can they consent to this shit, you know? It's weird to memorize which stores have different restrooms while traveling. Yeah, fair enough. Once you stop self-ID, it'll all be done. I mean, it's getting stopped in different places. I don't know, do they have self-ID in the US? I can't remember.
Enough. You're being insulting to a very good friend of mine, and I don't need it. Take a.
We're watching the back swing. I can't speak today. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's going to keep going. TRAs want to go down with the ship. That's their fucking problem.
Flipping break.
But yeah, there we go. Kellie-Jay Keen versus James Whale. Yeah. Fell out a bit, didn't they? poor people.